Honorable Speaker, the National Chair of the Council of Provinces, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa, members of Parliament from both houses, it is an honor for us to stand here today. But we also stand here proud of being a South African. We stand here this morning in great shock and deep sadness after having learned about the passing of our Member of Parliament in the National Assembly, Comrade Beatrice Ngcobo, yesterday. Ngcobo had recently undergone surgery and regrettably did not recover. Her untimely departure is a heavy blow to the ANC caucus and to Parliament. We will miss her contribution, particularly in this new dawn. Honorable Speaker and the Chair of the National Council of Provinces, as the ANC caucus, in honor of Comrade Beatrice Ngcobo and many other public representatives from this House who have passed on, we commit our full support and to work together with His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, on continuing on the vision of Madiba to building a South Africa of our dreams. We publicly say to the people of South Africa, as ANC caucus and members of this Parliament, South Africa, we are ready to Martina. On Monday, Honorable Speaker, the 9th of May, 1994 at 11, in this chamber of the National Assembly, Umama uNontsikelelo Albertina Sisulu was a member of Parliament then, a stalwart of our struggle who is remembered for her strength, compassion, and tireless commitment to the people of this country. A prominent leader of the ANC Women's League, Federation of South African Women, and the United Democratic Front, who represented the epitome of selfless service to the people. Her outstanding contribution to the cause of freedom and democracy rose to nominate Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela as our first democratically elected president. Our newly elected president, His Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa, rose to second that nomination 24 years ago. Only one candidate was nominated on that day, namely Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, who was duly elected the first president of the Republic of South Africa in a democratic order. On the 24th of May of that same year, Nelson Mandela gave his first and the first State of the Nation address in this chamber. I quote from his speech, open quotes. "The time will come when our nation will honor the memory of all sons, the daughters, the mothers, the fathers, the youth, and the children who by their thoughts and deeds gave us the right to assert with pride that we are South Africans, that we are Africans, and that we are citizens of the world." On this Monday, the 19th of February 2018, 24 years later, we celebrate the centenary of the late Mama Albertina Sisulu and the late Tata Nelson Mandela under the presidency of Cyril Ramaphosa as the 5th democratically elected president of the Republic of South Africa. Today we stand at the edge of a new dawn, full of hope and possibilities, full of optimism. A new dawn that recognizes that we, the people of South Africa, recognize the injustices of our past, honor those who suffered for justice and freedom in our land, respects those who have worked to build and develop our country. And borrowing from the words of the Freedom Charter, this preamble of our Constitution that we are quoting from also goes on to say, we believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. As we stand here to debate the historic State of the Nation address as delivered by President Cyril Ramaphosa last Friday, we join him in thanking former President Jacob Zuma for his years of service to the liberation of our country and his contribution in building our young democracy. Sithi siyabonga Nqamalala. As we sat in this house on Friday evening, we could feel the spirit of Nelson Mandela amongst us. A SONA delivered, which laid out his vision for the Republic of South Africa, a vision wherein South Africa is a place for all who live in it. I quote from his speech delivered in this parliament in 1995. The nation has set itself the task of reconstruction and development, nation building and reconciliation. It expects from its public representatives in these hallowed chambers the seriousness of purpose and the application of duty which success requires. On my part, I call on all parties to join us in working for a better life for all South Africans. That's what Madiba said, I close quote. Thus, the task of a democratically elected government is to focus on the agenda of reconstruction and development to address the great social needs. The agenda will thus reflect this as a developmental state requires an approach which acknowledges the need for fundamental transformation of society socially and economically. When we assess the state of the nation, we are essentially providing a framework for analyzing where we are as a nation. These important concepts in the analysis are social cohesion, social capital, and social justice. Social cohesion refers the extent to which a society is coherent, united, and functional in providing an environment within which its citizens can grow, develop, and reach their potential. In our pursuit of social cohesion, our mission remains the revival of an activist citizenry engaged in patriotism and nation building. We thus welcome the President's announcement of a social sector summit during the course of this year in recognizing the critical role of NGOs and community-based organizations in tackling poverty, inequality, and related social problems. Social capital refers to the assets accumulated based on trust, which enable people to work together to achieve common goals. The President's announcement of the implementation of the national minimum wage bears testimony to what is possible when all social partners work together in the interest of our great nation. In his SONA, the President committed to engaging all stakeholders on the mining charter to ensure that it is truly an effective instrument to sustainably transform the face of mining in South Africa. We therefore welcome yesterday's announcement that the Chamber of Mines will postpone its court application in respect of the reviewed mining charter to allow parties the space to engage and find an amicable solution in resolving the impasse. Honorable Speaker, it is through the spirit of ongoing engagements on critical matters that we shall be a nation at one. The ANC commits to the people of South Africa that we shall isolate and root out corrupt tendencies in the public and private sectors. We echo the sentiments shared by President Ramaphosa. We open quotes, "Amasela atshontsha imali kahulumeni mawabanjwe." We are with you there. Delegates to the 54th National Conference committed themselves to play a more proactive role in enhancing the values and integrity of the movement and society to act decisively where there are breaches.
Point of order.
Honorable Ndlozi, what's the point of order? Take your seat, Honorable Chifu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The President Ramaphosa never said that sentence, ever. So the Honorable Chief Whip is deliberately misleading the House. Honorable Ramaphosa never said, he was too scared to say Amabosho Mawabanji.
No,
Amasela Mawabanji.
Honorable
He
Member.
deliberately jumped that line when he was reading his
Honorable
speech.
Dozie.
So Honorable Jackson Mthembu must not mislead the country and the people of South. That line is not
Take your
there.
seat, Honorable
It's not
Dozie.
true.
Let Honorable Chief Whip continue.
This year, as we celebrate the centenary of the birth of Utata Nelson Mandela, our icon, we shall intensify our efforts to realize his vision of a united South Africa in which all live in peace with equal rights and opportunities. We shall renew our focus on Comrade Mandela's vision of a non-racial society in which the social and economic barriers that have separated black from white are broken down. We shall redouble our efforts to build a society in which black poverty and white privilege are consigned to the past, replaced by respect, solidarity, and non-racial equality. We shall place at the top of our agenda Madiba's vision of a non-sexist society in which the oppression and exploitation of women, whether in the workplace, in communities, or in the home, is eradicated. We shall make it our daily mission to work towards a society where women do not live in fear for their lives, where our daughters, I've got many, can walk the streets at night without fear of violence meted against them. We shall work to rekindle Madiba's vision of a democratic society in which all citizens have equal opportunity to determine their own destiny. While it is undeniable that the ANC has made significant strides in meeting the basic needs of our people, it is equally true that the legacy of colonialism and apartheid still remains deeply entrenched in our society. We therefore require a program of fundamental and radical socio-economic transformation that will ensure that, in the words of President Mandela, political freedom goes side by side, I open quotes, with freedom from hunger, want, and suffering. Fundamentally, we are determined to build an economy that reverses apartheid injustices and corrects continuing patterns of deprivation and inequality. It is for this reason that the resolution adopted at our 54th National Conference of the ANC focused on the measures we need to take now to significantly advance growth, development, and transformation. What does this then mean for our work here in Parliament? For the remainder of this fifth Parliament, in context of our new dawn, as heralded by our President's speech, renewed hope and optimism, things need to continue to change in the direction we have been driving for the past 2 years. Kufanele zijike izinto ngempela. The leadership we are calling for must be one of a principled nature across political parties, where ethics and integrity are the dominant factor and not narrow party politics. As Parliament, we must not and cannot ever be found on the side of having done wrongdoing under our watch. We as public representatives, we carry the hopes and aspirations of the people who elected us into office. We dare not fail them. Public representatives here in the People's Tribune should undertake their responsibilities with efficiency, diligence, and integrity, and without fear or favor. By example, we need to lead, instill a new discipline to do things correctly, to do them completely, and to do them timelessly, so that the activist parliament that the ANC speaks of achieves even greater outputs that have a qualitative and positive impact on the lives of our people. Accountability and performance monitoring will become the order of the day. The tasks set out in the State of the Nation address will require even greater oversight and capacity if the objectives of the commitments outlined by the President are to be met. These commitments are not some abstract, reduced to fielding questions to the President on a quarterly basis. These commitments directly involve this Parliament to be able to execute its constitutional responsibilities to the maximum through oversight, research, analysis of reports, and connecting with our people at a far higher level. This will have to be driven by empirical evidence, taking decisions on the balance of this empirical evidence, enhancing and cutting-edge support to members in a manner that Parliament is a reflection of strategic value add as an arm of state. For this to happen, Parliament cannot continue to be treated as a government department, whilst it is an arm of state. We are thus calling for the review of the funding methodology for all three arms of the state, wherein funding of Parliament is not dependent on the very same executive arm of state it ought to be conducting oversight over. It is through the repositioning of Parliament as a strategic value-add arm of state that we too can join into the hymn of the legendary Huma Sigela of Tumami, especially because as Parliament, sithunywe ngumzansi Afrika ukuthi sibahole abantu basemzansi to the promised land that Madiba envisioned. The independence of Parliament as an arm of state remains sacrosanct. We must therefore review the role of the State Security Agency in the business of Parliament. Though something as minute as the assistance of the State Security Agency during SONA might not be an issue in itself, it does, however, speak to the total and complete independence of Parliament as a separate arm of state. The integrity of state bodies that report to Parliament must receive heightened and vigorous oversight so that they perform their function both in the interest of the state but also in the interest of the masses of our people. Within the era of hope and optimism, Parliament must bring an end to fruitless, wasteful, and non-expenditure by government departments and entities. A total of 127.979 billion in irregular expenditure was uncovered by the Auditor General from 2013-2014 till the 2016-2017 financial years. These monies wasted by careless and corrupt people in government could have gone towards funding free higher education for the poor. It is for this reason that Parliament will, in the next coming weeks, finalize legislation which seeks to give the Auditor General more teeth to decisively deal with those who waste our hard-earned taxpayers' money, with an intention of having such monies recouped and those responsible being held personally liable. The integrity of SARS, state-owned enterprises, and government departments must result in a more accountable, functioning, and capable state. Thus, we welcome the intervention set out by the President to address some of the challenges experienced in our revenue collection entity. Our SOEs, and particularly, welcome the announcement of the review of the size and configuration of government departments. We have an outstanding task of finalizing the configuration of our Chapter 9 institutions. As set out in the 2007 report of the ad hoc committee on the review of Chapter 9 institutions, which was led by the late Comrade Kada Asma. Given that these bodies report here in Parliament and that we have a specific office based in Parliament to support the Chapter 9 bodies, we need to be far more vigorous in scrutinizing what the Constitution expects from them. The high-level panel report, headed by former President Kgalema Motlanthe, looking into legislation passed since 1994, has concluded this report and handed the report over to Parliament. We now have to deliberate on this and take decisions. There are profound recommendations, and these require our collective thought. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the State of the Nation address specifically tasked Parliament to speed up the conclusion on a number of pieces of legislation. For example, the MPRDA, the Expropriation Bill, revised legislation on the Auditor General, and the Political Parties Funding Bill put forward as examples. We call upon these committees to apply their minds as a matter of urgency. We are encouraged by the President's call in the State of the Nation address that he will work with Parliament and all parties in the interest of serving our people better and more qualitatively. It is only through working together that we can realize a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and prosperous society. Let us unite behind a common vision of a South Africa of Nelson Mandela, a South Africa of Albertina Sisulu. Let their memories live on through our hard work and commitment to serving this great nation of ours. In this, we cannot fail. Long live the undying spirit of Utata Nelson Mandela, long live. Long live the undying spirit of Umama Albertina Sisulu, long live. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.